I'm recording. Yep. The red button's on. I'm recording this time. We got to talk about it. Eyeshadow palettes, you know? It's been a lot of new releases. We got some stuff here. I got some stuff from prior to my break that we got to talk about also. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. And it's great now because I'm actually recording this time. Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. So we are talking about eyeshadow palettes, okay? So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup. But please just call me Ash or Ashley and eyeshadow. It's my channel. Excuse my raggedy nails. Anyway, so I usually call this like eyeshadow palette rankings, but then at the same time, sometimes there's not a ranking involved. And maybe sometimes I just put up my highest palette that I enjoyed the most. But at the end of the day, it is a way for me to come back and say, this is what I feel about the eyeshadow palettes. Because let's be honest, I do 3 looks, I might do 4, I might give you 5, depending on how many shades there are in that eyeshadow palette. And that is really not enough time for me to formulate valid thoughts, concerns, how I feel about the palette. In a moment when we get things that are new and shiny and sparkly, like, yes, this is great. Unless it's really bad and you're like, oh, this is bad. But that usually doesn't really happen too much. But I like to just kind of rank them and let you know how I feel about the palettes. Or sometimes I just kind of talk about the palettes. So this is like half ranked, half not ranked, okay? And I have a bunch of new releases here, you know. One of the palettes is not really new release, but it's new to me, okay? And then, you know, I got a couple of other releases here that this was prior to my little break on YouTube. These came out about May or so, and I never got a chance to like tell you about them. So, you know what? Let's just lump them all into one video, okay? So I got quite a bit to talk about. So this one, it's a little different. I like it, but it's not quite an eyeshadow palette. And I purchased this with my own money. This is the Blend Bunny Forget Me Not palette, okay? And I do get a lot of PR from Blend Bunny Cosmetics, but this I did go ahead and purchase myself. And it's a face and eyeshadow palette. Now my mirror came broken. Not her fault. You know, they wrap their stuff up really nicely, but I guess the post office said we don't give a care this time. We're just going to throw the stuff. But I actually do use this. This is very different as far as it's a face palette and an eyeshadow palette. So I was able to achieve look. I was able to fill in my brows. I do use it kind of to like contour my face, kind of structure my face, get some things going, just a little bit of different action. And I do enjoy it. So I am overall happy that I bought this. This is definitely something that's like a little bit out of my box. I usually do not contour. I usually do not fill in my brows using powders. I usually don't do those things. So this was a little bit out the box for me, but I'm glad I purchased it. Now, if you're wondering about how these perform as an eyeshadow, they perform well. Like I was able to get a really great eyeshadow look. The sparkles were great. They had good longevity on the eyes. They worked well as a highlighter. These shades were able to, you know, do the whole crease work, everything like that. Perfect for like the latte trend that's going on Instagram, or as I like to call it, the IG baddie, where everything is just brown, you know, brown bronzer, brown eyeshadow, brown lips, everything, you know. And those looks are really pretty, but not really my forte, but I was able to get a very glam look. Of course, this is more so for people who are like makeup artists in their kits, but I do feel like it is for somebody who's into makeup and wants to just try a few new things in their makeup routine and technique. So I have been making a concerted effort to use it. I keep it kind of like right here underneath my mirror, so that way it's not chucked along with my palettes. And when I'm pulling out like my blush products and things like that to do my face, it's readily accessible. Because if I just put it in a drawer, I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to forget that it's blushes or bronzes because it is substantially bigger. And I understand why the pans are bigger, because you want to be able to fit a brush, you know, in it. You want to be able to do a lot, especially if you're going to be chiseling somebody's face. I think there's a lot of different varieties in here for a lot of different skin complexions, which is well thought of. So of course I did use this to actually set my under eye powder when I did the looks. So it's worked out really nice. You got blacks, you have all types of shades that you need to kind of mix and create. All right, so next up, this, I actually have a couple palettes that are older. So this one, it went on sale, and this is the Glamlite Hershey palette. And it comes with this adorable packaging, and this is the cookies and cream. This is also my favorite candy bar. I love me a little cookies and cream Hershey's bar. Love it so much, okay? Talking about holding restraint. I don't eat them all the time, but yeah, it's times where I'm like, I could just go in on them. And, you know, I got to hold restraint because clearly they're sold where I work because, you know, I'm a retail pharmacist. So, you know, the candy I'll be kind of bomb. But this is a beautiful, cool tone color story. And I just thought that this was so cute. And I want to say I picked it up for about $20. And I was looking at it when it first came out, but then I was like, I just didn't purchase it. And then I decided to purchase it. So I have worn this palette off camera, and I wore it to an event called Dinner en Blanc. It was here in Chicago, and I was able to just get a really nice cool tone look. Now, the thing about certain cool tones, because my complexion is so warm, you have to have the right cool tone, or else it's just going to look not really good, okay? And that's the thing. We tend to do better with warmer shades. And so I just felt like this was such a great palette. The color story is really unique, especially when you're talking about like a white chocolate, you know, candy bar. It's like, well, how can I pull this off? But the silvers, the blues, the grays, and you know, I'm kind of like a sucker for the silver and blue gray mattes. I also felt like this palette, when they lined it up, the swatches was like, oh, this is what the Ghostface palette is looking like. So I will not be picking up the Ghostface palette by Glamlite. That palette made me sad. I think they're coming out with another one because I'm like, this is not what you guys watch with these what is it, like sneak peeks or whatever. No, you swatch something else and then you just come out with that. I was very disappointed in that reveal. I was like, oh, well, my wallet's safe. But this one right here, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Good quality. I love when Glamlite kind of does the packaging, but like in a more toned down, you know, theme, more realistic. I kind of just got on the Glamlite train when they started doing the Martini collection. Now, the Martini collection is great, but I'm like, those Martini cases, it was just too much, okay? So I really enjoyed that palette. Now, here's another palette. Like I'm mad at it, but I can't be mad at it. And I'm not necessarily ranking this palette, but I've only worn it once. But kind of want to preface this video and saying, like, I've worn a lot of stuff and I haven't worn a lot of stuff. I really haven't been wearing makeup. So, you know, I still love makeup, everything, but it's just really been a lot going on in my life where it's just like this whole week I was sick with a sinus infection. So my eyes were like this, you know, you can still hear me like wheezing. So if you hear me coughing and stuff, I got my water right here. And then I really wasn't making a lot of makeup at all this summer. My grandmother passed. It's just been a lot of traveling, just a lot, just going back and forth. Like I talked about this already, but like as much as I want to be mad, I'm not even mad at it. Like as much as I want to be mad at Mothership 11, I cannot be mad. Now this was actually a gift. Okay. So Yadi and Kara got this for my birthday as a request because I said, well, I think I do want this and I know I'm going to eventually want it. So just get it for me. And I want to be mad at it because I'm so damn tired of the pinks by Pat McGrath. But I'm like, it was really pretty. When I did, I was like, oh, like, excuse me. And you know, her new eyeshadow primer, I actually have it on now with this Glaminatrix palette that's called I have on this, the Sugar and Spice palette. So you'll see this look coming up soon. But her eye primer ain't coming to play. Like, it's priming the heck out of some stuff. Like, all these brands, it's been priming. Now, I was like, it's pretty. Now, this one, it was like, okay, this shade, gorgeous. This shade, gorgeous. This shade, gorgeous. The mattes were matting. I put this on. I was like, oh, with her primer, I was like, oh, you're kind of bold. Excuse me. I mean, overall, it's a good quality palette. You can't be mad at it. Should you get it on sale or be like me, finagle a way to get it? Yes, absolutely. Okay. At this point, absolutely. You should get it on sale, finagle away like I did. A birthday gift, whatever. But yes, okay. Because yeah, we're tired of the pinks. Chad, I didn't drop water all over my shirt, but I don't think I could really. That's what I get. But I'm like, Lord Jesus, please deliver this woman from the pink, okay? Please deliver her from pink. Like, and I did get that quint that has that cherry noir in it, but that cherry noir is pretty. But I'm just like, okay, ma'am, please, can you find your way to an ocean? Please, can you find your way to a beach? Like, is there some blue anywhere in there for you? Because look, yes. But also, in all seriousness, I did pair it along with my Celestial Nirvana palette as well. And took some of those purples and popped it in there, and it came out gorgeous. So don't be afraid to mix and match. At this point, we got to mix and match. I know a lot of people didn't like Celestial Nirvana, but those mattes in there are key to like holding the cards to all the motherships to get the looks that you want with some of the color combinations that we don't have in a mothership. But overall, this is a good palette. I just need her to be delivered from pink. It is what it is. Now, this beauty right here, oh, this is a good one. And this is a great release. Such a fan of this. This is the Ghost Town USA palette by Nomad Cosmetics. Now, I've always liked Nomad, but like somewhere along the line, like some of the releases, I'm like, not for me. Some of the other releases are like, that's beautiful, but I'm pretty sure I have that. But this, I saw this and I was like, I'm head over heels in love. Look at the lenticular flow. It's beautiful packaging at a beautiful price point. I think this was only like $30, $40. And there's plenty of codes out there. Look at this. Gorgeous. Now, the longevity on this is great. I've worn this to work. So I have worn this a couple more times outside of the video. Beautiful jewel tone, grungy. You definitely have neutral. You have sultry. You got that pops of gold. You have those beautiful like fall rust tone greens, you know, the green golds. Beautiful matte selections right here. So I just feel like this is such a beautiful palette. I feel like it's cool tone done right. Once again, it's the type of cool tone that's going to look good on your skin complexion if you have a very warm skin complexion like I do. The shimmers are shimmy. You don't even need, like you could use a glitter glue, but you don't have to use a glitter glue, or you can just go ahead and wet it. The mattes are blending out perfectly. You have so many different tones and variations of the same tones. I love how the flow is set out. I love the packaging. I just love everything about this palette. It's such a great palette. I'm really glad that I brought this into my collection. I really have not bought a lot of palettes into my collection. I don't want to give my number away because, you know, at the end of the year, I tend to do my video like how many. Let me put this up here before it falls. I tend to do my video how many in whatever particular calendar year. So I don't want to give that away, but I'm really glad I brought that into my collection. Another palette that I'm glad I brought into my collection is Older. This released during the summer. And it's not old, but in the makeup world, it's old, okay? And I did film a video on it, but the video is not up yet. So, but this is the Oden's Eye Jewels and Gem palette. Now, this did have a sister palette, but I just got this one palette. And so I love Oden's Eye. And I like a lot of their palettes. Some of the palette color stories are for me, some of them are not. The recent release was not for me, okay? But, so what happened with this palette, I saw it came out, and I was like, going through a lot of stuff, so I looked at it and I was just like, felt like it looked like a lot of things I had. In addition, I was so scarred from, I hate to say it, from the collab with Makeup Just for Fun and Laura Mae Beauty. I don't like those palettes, and I actually had a video collab with Yachty Beauty on like 5 palettes regret buying, and I really regret buying those. And those palettes fell flat for me, so when they came out with this, I was like, But I picked this up, and this baby is wonderful. I mean, once again, we have like some cool tones, we have some warm tones, we have some great shimmer formulas. And this little multi-chrome, she is so fiery, it doesn't even make sense. Oh my gosh. The mattes are buttery, everything blends very nicely. The mattes are not looking muddy. You're able to see the color differentiation. I mean, it is really a gorgeous palette. You have blues, you can do like silvers, you can do purples, you can do greens, you can do somewhat neutral. If you do it across here, you have so many options. And if for like 30 something dollars, you can't beat it. You really can't. So Oden's Eye did their thing on this, and I felt like this was really high value to bring into my collection. Now, this palette is ranked. This is my #1 palette, my favorite palette that I've brought into my collection in the last few weeks, August, September. Sumarian Sunset. Let me turn it around the right way. Sumarian Sunset by Adept Cosmetics. Baby, when I say she did the thing, she did the thing. Now, there's the 2 caveats I would say. These 2 mattes, they're not great. Ash factor high, okay? But this and this and this, oh, I just said this wasn't good. But these 3 are really great. And the shimmers, oh my goodness, did not come to play. I've had so much fun wearing this palette. I even have a video where I mash up this palette along with, let's see, I have it here. I've mashed it up with the Inspired palette. Oh my gosh. And the color combinations are wonderful. Now, this palette is actually coming back. So if you missed this palette, make sure you check it out. Put your notifications on. It is coming back somewhere in the makeup holiday season. So that could be starting like tomorrow through December. But I think it's going to be back maybe in October. So if you want this, I think you should definitely go ahead and jump on this. Now, these 2 together are like pure magic. This one is pure magic by itself. I'm trying to think which one do I like the most. I don't know, but I really love this one. Like, this might be like one of my top favorites of the year for sure. I have another palette in mind for sure for like top favorite, but this one definitely comes to play. So many orange tones, pinks, and like the flips. So some of the flips can be similar. And at the same time it's not. I do think that you do have to be a little careful with some color placement because there are so many multichromes. Because when you have a lot of multichromes and the shifts are kind of similar, or maybe the bases are different, when you put that multichrome next to that multichrome, it turns into one big multichrome. And you're like, well, I can't even see any differential color. Hence, on my eyes. Let me show you. So, I have on this palette today. It's not in the ranking or whatever, because I just started playing with it. But I have on this shade, and then I put this in the corner. As you can see, it looks like the same shade. Now, I did pop this one over it just a little bit, but that's what happens. So sometimes you do have to be careful, and you do get that potential with this particular palette. So I feel like you should kind of work one multichrome at a time. If you want something in the corner pop, be very strategic about how you are placing your multichrome so that you can get the differentiation of color. So it looks like separate shades versus one large multichrome. And you're kind of like, it's pretty, but this is not what I'm going for. You know what I mean? The matte choices I think are beautiful. Like the color story itself is just beautiful. Like I said, these 2 are just too ashy. This one is a little bit better, but it's just not. So I know what some people did. They went ahead and put like a couple of mattes from Heather Austin in there. Like I said, I've been putting these 2 together, but then I also just pulled out my La Cienega palette. So if you're worried about like Sumerian Sunset just being so too much, put one of these with it. So if you put one of these with it, it drastically changes what this palette is going to look like. So, you know, it's been a couple of times I wore it to work. I just popped this brown. Just disregard my nail. I put this brown, you know, in the crease and maybe a couple other little shades. And then went ahead and used like Lao, gorgeous shade. Or I went ahead and used Risa, gorgeous as well, in order to just achieve a more neutral look or complete look. So I've been having so much fun with this. This is hands down my favorite palette that I've brought into my collection as of recently. Now I have two older palettes. These came out in May, and I hadn't talked about them, but I definitely want to talk about them. Now we also have Adept Cosmetics Seahorse palette. Now this palette, I really do enjoy this palette, but this palette was pricey as all dang out. You know, like I guess adding this extra row of multi-chromes just really upped the ante versus having this palette and the Inspired by Arrow palette. This palette retailed for $140, but we got a substantial discount code when the palette launched. So I think I paid maybe $100 for the palette. Still a lot. It's a lot. So this palette I do love. I had a lot of fun with it. And at the time when this palette came out, I was still wearing makeup a lot. Every day. I got some great looks. It doesn't have any mattes. But you know, I went into my good old Blend Bunnies palettes. I was looking for them. I put them up. But I went into my Blend Bunny cosmetic palettes. I think I have two videos up on this palette where I did a first impression. And I got some beautiful kind of like neutral looks. And then I did, you know, more a deeper dive in there. And I was able to create some really great things. Now, I felt like the colors were really different, especially because I'm glad we didn't have a lot of greens, because she had already given us, you know, this palette earlier in the year. We got that in January. But, you know, one of my favorite shades, Giraffe. Just gorgeous. Also, Tiger Tail. Wonderful. Big Belly is gorgeous too. Courtship, really pretty. I like this shade over this shade. And Tyro was different. That was this shade. It was like kind of a swirl, multi-chrome, Prodoxo, really pretty. So you got some really pretty things. I just think that it is very expensive. Like, it's just no way around it. I think like I'll definitely continue to reach for this. And in the summer or the spring, maybe I'll pull out like Giraffe or something like that for the winter and just kind of pair with some deeper mattes. Would seem to work out. But, you know, if I would say like, what was my favorite out of the three? I think it's this one. Okay, so now we have Glaminatrix. And before, did you guys see their Rich Romantic palette? That palette is so pretty. And I know you're going to be like, it's spring, but that palette, it's their spring in Australia. So this is the Into the Night palette, and I think it's really, really beautiful. And it's definitely different. It's like disco and grunge and I don't know. It's a lot going on in here, but I fell in love with this part of the palette and this part. The silver, the pink is nice in these, but this part really just made it special for me, and that's why I decided to pick it up. Now, the neon, I did like the neon, but like sometimes when you just look at it in the grand scheme of things, that's what made me fall in love with the palette. The textures, the shimmer formula, the mattes are just so beautiful. I was having a discussion with like my friends, and more so like my makeup friend group. Like, we're real friends in other ways also, but our love stems from makeup, and that's how we met each other. And we were saying like sometimes with indie brands, like you don't know what the matte formula is going to be like. Like, yeah, you can kind of usually count on the shimmers, but you're not sure. But I feel like Glaminatrix is always very consistent with the shimmer and the matte formula. And their matte formula has vastly improved. And I like that they are growing and reinvesting into their brand. So this palette was not a pre-order. So I was looking at the Nocturnal palette, and I was trying to remember what it was called, and I waited forever for that palette. But now, like, a lot of the palettes, like, you can just kind of go online and buy if they have them in stock, which is a great thing, because if you see a video, you can just be like, hey, I want to buy it. You don't have to wait like 6 months for it, or think if you want to do a pre-order or anything like that. So I am definitely glad I brought this into my collection. So, you know, these are the palettes I have tried. Let me know, have you tried any of them? What do you think about them? Let me know down below. And I'm like, yeah, we had quite a bit. Let's see. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, Well, that didn't really count. We had 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, about 8 pounds. That was enough. That was enough to talk about for sure. So leave me a comment down below. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be soon. And subscribe to my channel because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with all of that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the Chaddies. Chaddies. Hey, 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 Chaddies. Chaddies. Hey, 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 Chaddies. Chaddies. Hey. All right, y'all. Bye.